Welcome back to our channel, World Coins History. As you knew that old is gold, but these rare $quarter coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. Today, we've got something truly special, a modern coin that's quickly becoming a collector's favorite. We're talking about the 2023 United States quarter featuring the trailblazing aviator, Bessie Coleman. Now you might be thinking, it's just a regular quarter, right? But don't let its small size fool you. This coin carries big history, stunning design, and in some cases, some serious value. So stick around, because you might just find out that the spare change in your pocket is worth more than you think. Let's talk about the woman behind the coin first, Bessie Coleman. She was the first African American and Native American woman to hold a pilot's license, earning it all the way back in 1921. She broke boundaries, defied stereotypes, and inspired generations to dream bigger. Honoring her in the American Women Quarters program, the U.S. Mint released this coin in 2023 as a tribute to her courage and pioneering spirit. Now, when it comes to design, the coin is absolutely stunning. On the reverse side, Bessie is shown in her pilot gear, looking confidently toward the sky. It's a powerful image of ambition and determination. The detail in the engraving is incredible, from the texture of her flight jacket to the vintage aircraft in the background. It's a work of art on a tiny canvas. The obverse side still features the classic portrait of George Washington, redesigned by artist Laura Garden Fraser. Here's where things get exciting. This coin isn't just a tribute to history, it's also turning heads in the numismatic world. While the 2023 Bessie Coleman quarters were minted in large numbers at Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, not all quarters are created equal. What makes a coin truly valuable to collectors are errors and rarities. Some of the 2023 Bessie Coleman quarters have been discovered with striking errors, like die cracks, double dies, off-center strikes, and even misaligned dies. These kinds of mistakes during the minting process make the coin stand out, and collectors love anything unique. For example, a double die error on the lettering or her figure could make your quarter worth hundreds more than face value. And don't overlook proof versions or the special San Francisco Mint strike. These quarters weren't made for circulation and are minted with extra care. If you come across a pristine proof coin or a coin graded MS67 or higher, you might be holding something far more valuable than just 25 cents. So let's talk real numbers. What's this coin actually worth in today's market? A regular 2023 Bessie Coleman quarter found in your change is still worth 25 cents. But if you have a high-grade coin, say, mint state condition or a rare error, it could fetch between $20 and $75 depending on condition and buyer interest. Even more impressive, at auction, a rare error coin in superb condition has sold for as much as $250. Now that's not a fortune, but it's definitely not bad for something you could find in your pocket or change jar. It's modern, it's meaningful, and it could be a hidden gem. So next time you're sorting through your coins, take a second look. You just might spot Bessie Coleman staring back at you, and if you're lucky, that little quarter might just be your ticket to a great find. Top 2, we're diving into a coin that might look ordinary, but don't let appearances fool you. The 1983 United States quarter dollar is no ordinary coin. In fact, this seemingly common quarter could be hiding some serious value, especially if you know exactly what to look for. So get comfortable, because this is a coin with history, mystery, and money-making potential. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, this is one quarter you need to know about. Let's set the stage. The year was 1983. The U.S. Mint was producing coins like usual, but something very important happened that year, something that would make 1983 quarters uniquely collectible decades later. That year, the United States Mint did not produce any official mint sets for collectors. That's right, no government-issued sets that normally preserve coins in pristine, uncirculated condition. That meant almost every 1983 quarter was released straight into circulation, tossed into pockets, cash registers, and vending machines across the country. Because of this, finding a 1983 quarter in high-grade, uncirculated condition today is incredibly difficult. Most of them were heavily worn down from everyday use, and very few were saved in the perfect condition that collectors look for. This rarity in condition, not mintage numbers, is what makes this coin so interesting, but that's not all. There's another reason why the 1983 quarter has caught the attention of serious collectors: the famous spitting eagle error. This error appears on the reverse side of some 1983 P quarters, where a small die crack runs from the eagle's beak, making it look like the eagle is spitting. It's one of the most well-known and desirable die varieties in modern U.S. coinage, and if you find one, you're holding a piece of numismatic history. Other errors from this year include off-center strikes, double dies, and coins struck on the wrong planchets, all of which add to the appeal and potential value of the coin. Combine these errors with the already low survival rate of uncirculated coins, and you've got a real collector's target. Now, let's talk materials. Like all quarters from this era, the 1983 quarter is made of a copper-nickel-clad composition. It has no silver content, but what it lacks in precious metal, it makes up for in scarcity and collector demand. Especially the Philadelphia minted coins, which tend to show more of the spitting eagle error and are more sought after. So, the next time you get change from the store, take a close look. You're not just holding a coin, you might be holding a miniature treasure chest in disguise. Pay close attention to the eagle's beak, look for clean, sharp details, and if it looks uncirculated or has something unusual about it, don't spend it. Get it checked, graded, and maybe even auctioned. Now for the part you've been waiting for: how much is this coin actually worth? A standard 1983 quarter in circulated condition is still worth face value, just 25 cents. But if you have one in near mint state, especially MS65 or higher, its value can range between $30 to $150. Coins with the spitting eagle error have sold for even more, often fetching between $100 and $200 depending on condition. And the rarest high-grade examples of this quarter, especially with certified grading, have reached prices of over $500 at auction. That's a pretty amazing return for a coin you might already have sitting in a jar or drawer. Top 3, we're traveling back to the 1970s, a time of bell-bottoms, classic rock, and yes, some seriously collectible coins. We're taking a close look at the 1974 United States quarter dollar, a coin that many people overlook, but some collectors are hunting for with passion. At first glance, the 1974 quarter doesn't seem particularly rare. It was produced in large numbers, with mints in Philadelphia and Denver cranking out hundreds of millions of them. But here's the thing: not every 1974 quarter is created equal. While the average one might still be worth face value, there are specific versions, mint errors, and high-grade examples that can fetch a surprisingly high price. Let's start with the design. The obverse features the familiar portrait of George Washington, originally designed by John Flanagan. The reverse shows the iconic eagle with wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows. It's a design most of us have seen countless times, but for collectors, the small details can make a huge difference. So, what makes some of these coins so special? Well, one key factor is condition. Since these coins were made for circulation, most of them have been through decades of wear and tear. Finding a 1974 quarter in mint state condition, especially MS65 or higher, is much harder than it sounds. Coins that have remained untouched, with sharp details and original luster, are highly sought after by collectors, but it gets even more interesting when you dive into the world of errors. Some 1974 quarters were struck off-center, while others were minted on the wrong planchet, meaning the blank piece of metal wasn't intended for a quarter at all. These off-metal errors are incredibly rare and valuable. Imagine finding a quarter struck on a dime or nickel planchet. Suddenly, that everyday coin becomes a collector's prize. One of the most fascinating errors includes double die obverse varieties, where elements like the date or the lettering appear slightly doubled. This kind of error adds serious value to a coin, especially when it's visible without a microscope. Although not all 1974 quarters have confirmed double die varieties, error hunters still keep an eye out, hoping to find an undiscovered gem. Now, let's talk about the silver confusion. Some people believe 1974 quarters might have silver, but that's not the case. By this year, all circulating quarters were made with a copper-nickel clad composition. However, that doesn't mean they're worthless, especially if you've got a rare error or a coin in pristine condition. Another tip for collectors is to check the mint mark. 1974 quarters were struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. While both can be valuable in high grades, coins from Denver with full strike details tend to catch more attention in the collector market. So next time you're going through old change or sorting through that coin jar in the back of your drawer, don't ignore the 1974 quarters. Take a closer look. Check the date, examine the edges, and look for anything unusual. You never know, you might be holding onto something special. Alright, now the part you've been waiting for. What is this coin actually worth? In average circulated condition, a 1974 quarter is still worth just 25 cents. But in uncirculated condition, especially at grade MS65 or higher, these coins can sell for $20 to $45. If you have a rare mint error, like an off-center strike, double die, or wrong planchet, it could be worth between $100 and $500. And in rare cases, extremely high-grade or unique error examples have sold at auction for over $1,000. That's not a bad return for a coin you might already have in your pocket or tucked away in an old collection. Top 4, we're diving into a coin that many people think is just another old quarter, but in the world of numismatics, it has some fascinating secrets. We're talking about the 1967 United States quarter dollar, a coin with history, mystery, and yes, potential hidden value. Now, 1967 was a very important year for American coins. Just a few years earlier, in 1965, the U.S. Mint had removed silver from circulating quarters. That means the 1967 quarter was part of the early years of the copper-nickel clad era. While these coins don't contain any silver, that doesn't mean they're worthless. In fact, some 1967 quarters are worth far more than face value. Here's something most people don't know. In 1967, the U.S. Mint was doing everything it could to stop coin hoarding. People were pulling silver coins from circulation like crazy, and the Mint feared that even newer coins would be hoarded. So, in response, they made a major change. They didn't use mint marks on coins from 1965 to 1967. That means there are no D or S mint marks on 1967 quarters, even though they were produced at multiple locations. This adds a layer of intrigue for collectors, trying to trace where these coins were made and what subtle differences might exist. But what really makes the 1967 quarter stand out is the range of rare errors and high-grade examples that can be incredibly valuable today. Let's talk about some of the rare errors first. One of the most famous is the double die obverse, where parts of the design, like the date or the word liberty, appear doubled due to a misalignment during minting. These errors can be dramatic or subtle, but they're always interesting to collectors. Another major variety includes off-center strikes, where the coin isn't properly aligned during the strike, leaving part of the design missing. Some of these off-center 1967 quarters show as much as 50% of the design shifted, creating a very rare and collectible piece. And then there are coins struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine a quarter struck on a nickel or dime blank. These are extremely rare but highly desirable and can fetch significant prices at auction. Beyond errors, condition is everything. The majority of 1967 quarters were circulated heavily, meaning most are scratched, worn, and far from pristine. But if you're lucky enough to find one in uncirculated condition, especially with a high grade like MS65 or higher, you might be holding onto something worth more than pocket change. Also, let's not forget about special mint sets. In 1967, the Mint didn't produce regular proof sets. Instead, they issued special mint sets, SMS, which were struck with better than normal quality but not quite proof level. SMS quarters from 1967 have a shinier, mirror-like appearance and are very attractive to collectors when kept in great condition. So before you toss that old quarter back into circulation, take a good look. Check for doubling, look for off-center designs, and examine the overall condition. That old coin might just be your hidden treasure. Now, let's talk real value. A regular 1967 quarter in circulated condition is generally worth 25 cents. But if you have one in uncirculated condition graded MS65 or above, it could be worth anywhere from $10 to $30. Special mint set coins in gem condition can fetch between $30 and $70. And if you're lucky enough to have a rare error, like a double die or off-center strike, it could be worth between $100 and $400. The most exceptional error examples have sold at auction for more than $800. That's a pretty good return on something that might be sitting unnoticed in your coin jar right now. Top 5, and last rare coin, we're unlocking the story behind a coin that many people pass off as just another old quarter, but for collectors, it holds potential that's both fascinating and valuable. Get ready to take a closer look at the 1970 United States quarter dollar, because what seems ordinary at first could be a secret goldmine for sharp-eyed collectors like you. At first glance, the 1970 quarter looks like any other Washington quarter, same size, same design, same face value. But there's much more to this coin than meets the eye. If you've ever tossed one into a vending machine or slipped it into a coin jar, you may want to think twice from now on. Let's start with the basics. The obverse features the familiar image of George Washington, while the reverse displays the classic eagle perched on a bundle of arrows. It's a design used for decades, and while the design itself didn't change in 1970, what makes this coin special is its production context, striking errors, and a few ultra-rare variants that collectors are desperately searching for. Now, 1970 was a transitional time for U.S. coinage. The mint had fully moved away from silver just a few years earlier, so the quarter was being struck in copper-nickel clad. But here's where it gets interesting. The U.S. Mint produced over 550 million quarters that year, but only at 2 locations, Philadelphia and Denver. You'll find 1970 quarters with a D mint mark, and others with no mint mark at all. Those were struck in Philadelphia, but rarity isn't always about mintage numbers. The true excitement comes from errors and anomalies that slipped through the mint's quality control, and 1970 quarters have a few of the most interesting ones out there. One of the most talked about coins in modern numismatics is the 1970 S-proof quarter struck on a 1941 Canadian quarter. Yes, you heard that right. An actual US quarter minted over an older Canadian coin by mistake. This ultra-rare error was discovered in a proof set and instantly became a sensation in the collector community. The design of the Canadian coin is faintly visible underneath the US strike, making it a one-of-a-kind collector's dream, but even without that wild minting error, other 1970 quarters have surfaced with notable mistakes, like double die obverse errors, where the date, lettering, or Washington's features appear doubled. There are also off-center strikes and clipped planchet errors that can raise the value significantly. These types of flaws are what coin hunters live for: rare, eye-catching, and valuable, and let's not forget the importance of condition. Most quarters from 1970 entered circulation and picked up decades of wear. That's why uncirculated examples, especially those graded MS-65 or higher, are so highly sought after. Coins that have been well preserved in rolls, sets, or old collections are the ones that collectors chase the most. So next time you come across a 1970 quarter, stop and look closely. Check for a D mint mark. Examine the date and lettering for doubling. Look at the edges for signs of planchet errors. What looks like an ordinary coin could turn out to be a true hidden gem. And now, let's get to the part everyone's waiting for. How much is this coin actually worth? If you have a standard 1970 quarter in circulated condition, it's generally worth just 25 cents. But if it's in uncirculated condition, it can sell for between $5 and $20, depending on the grade. High-grade examples in mint state, especially MS-66 or above, can bring in between $40 and $100. Now here's the big one: if you happen to come across the 1970 S-proof quarter struck on a 1941 Canadian quarter, that coin has sold at auction for an astonishing amount, over $35,000. Yes, one single coin. That's the kind of discovery that turns an everyday collector into a legend. So if you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1970 quarter, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss the next hidden treasure. Keep searching, stay curious, and happy collecting.